You said before, Joe, that is the problem, you're trying to convince people that they should have a nuclear reactor next door. But how hard is it? There'll be money will come along with it, whatever, to sweeten the whole deal up.
Yeah.
But, people are living, and of course it's not a power reactor, it's a medical nuclear reactor, but people have been living next to a nuclear reactor in Lucas Heights since the 1950s. So surely I don't think this spells the end of the coalition's nuclear dream. I think it's just saying, well, you've probably just got to sell it a bit better to some people, because people have been living next to nuclear reactors for years.
Yeah, well, look, I've been writing about this for ages. I predicted exactly this outcome just a couple of weeks ago. I'm all in favour of lifting the moratorium. I'm all in favour of having the debate. If we can get, cost-effective, large-scale nuclear reactors to replace the coal-fired generators, great. If we can get small modular reactors online that can be hooked up to smelters or high-energy users, that's fine by me. But again, watching even the New South Wales government failing to meet its own housing targets because a residents' action group pops up every time they try to build something 6 stories high. Yeah. Just imagine what that is going to be like.
Well, the Teals didn't want a battery in their own seats. They're the climate change. We're all for renewables, but don't put the battery in Waverley or North Sydney.
Well, I mean, in the inner west where I live in the Leichhardt area, we've got all these signs up saying it's a nuclear-free zone.
That's right.
I was so worried that they were going to build a nuclear reactor on top of my house.
I think they're more worried about nuclear submarines sailing up the Cooks River.
Right. They should be more worried about the asbestos in their park now.
This is what makes it insane, because you've got Peter Malinauskas, again, bastion, voice of reason, amazing guy, who's saying this is ridiculous. We're going to have nuclear submarine maintenance facilities in South Australia that we're working on, where we can do everything except the stuff that actually makes them go.
Yes.
And so because of this moratorium, you can't even fix our own nuclear submarine.
Malley got in trouble when he talked about that and then changed his tune very quickly.
Yeah, but at least he's out there. At least he's out there.
He may have lost his Christmas invite to lodge with our vote now.
The Australian Workers' Union also supports at least examining nuclear power because they know that. And like you said, Greg Combay and Jenny George, I think, started to raise.
I think I said Stephen
And what is it?
If Stephen Conroy and Greg Combay moved
seriously, I love you, Stephen Conroy.
Hang on, is the moratorium. That's indefensible.
Correct, it just needs to go.
All that Duttons needs to say is it's nuclear science. Banning any branch of science is nuts. If you're going to be intelligent, have an intelligent country, you can't ban any level of science. You've got to allow our universities to research it. You've got to allow people to think about it and talk about it. And if the market approves it and we find the safety things are okay. But banning the science, it came out of a trade-off John Howard did with the Greens years ago. And he thought, it won't matter, we don't need this, we've got all this cheap coal, therefore I'll sign off on the Greens thing in order to get their agreement
and
with
little
this.
Did he know.
And it's left us stuck with a moratorium on a branch of science.
I know.
Can anyone understand how stupid that is? Here's a branch. In future, we're banning geology. There will be no geology taught in any Australian universities. It's bad, it's bad science, really dangerous science. That's stupid.
Well, let's face it, we've basically banned biology at this stage.
And Charlotte, very quickly.
Well, I just think that what I found fascinating was a couple of months ago that new political party launched that was called Gen Z. I don't know if you guys remember that.
A sham, but anyway.
Yes, but the most interesting thing I thought in it was one of their policies is pro-nuclear. And I do think that younger people are going to be more pro-nuclear than the current generations. And that's because we had that anti-nuclear sentiment in the 70s and the 80s. The younger generations, they won't have that stigma around it. And Oliver Stone did a fantastic documentary called Nuclear Now, where he basically argued that it's a perception versus reality conundrum. And he was saying, look, the threat of climate change is far more dangerous than the threat of nuclear. So, that has to be weighed up.